Good morning. Hello. Goeiemorgen. Dumelang. Sanibonani. Sawubona. And a very, very good morning and congratulations. So if you are in the room, it's because you're being recognized with a PMR award, and hopefully you're getting the Diamond Award, and some of you will be getting the Gold Arrow Award. So, I mean, the fact that you're there, this means something, because awards like these are not just about performance. They're about reputation. And reputation is fascinating because reputation is not built in a moment. It's built through consistency, it's built through trust, through adaptability, and it's through how you respond when markets shift, customers change, and pressure rises. And that's why I think this morning's conversation matters. You see, because history is full of award-winning companies that no longer exist. Kodak was admired, Blockbuster dominant, Nokia untouchable. I had a Nokia, my very first phone. Who had Nokias? At one point, all industry leaders. But leadership in one decade does not guarantee relevance in the next. And that raises some very uncomfortable questions for all of us here this morning. If success today is quietly, what if success today is quietly blinding us to tomorrow? So this morning, I'd like us to do something unusual. I would like us to become time travelers. Not science fiction time travelers, business time travelers. Because if you could go back 30 years with what you know now, what advice would you give yourself? And more importantly, if somebody from 2056 visited your business today, what would they warn you not to ignore? So join me. Let's take a look through the time traveler's lens. Let's go back to your business or to business in 1996 and see what that has in store for us. Welcome to 1996. I can tell you, no Google, no smartphones, no social media. In fact, not even any GPS. The internet, I think that sounded like a hobby for nerds. Most businesses were hierarchical, analog, local, and stable. And then suddenly, the world changed. Not gradually, exponentially. And here's the fascinating thing. The future arrived quietly at first, through weak signals, slow dial-up internet, funny-looking mobile phones, tiny online bookstores. Most people dismissed them. Time travelers paid attention. So, if I could go back to 1996, this is what I would tell every business leader. Launch a website immediately. Secure your domains. Build digital capability early, because early adopters don't just survive change, they become category kings. Amazon understood this. Netflix understood this. Nvidia understood this. Whilst others defended the old world, and history teaches us something brutally important, disruption rarely destroys companies overnight. It happens slowly and then suddenly. Then I would say, invest in the right giants. Some companies adapted. Blockbuster and Kodak and Nokia, well, they became case studies. They weren't stupid companies. They were successful companies. And sometimes success is dangerous, because success convinces you that worked yesterday will work tomorrow. Future-ready organizations understand that past success can become future blindness. Remember, back the disruptors, not the dinosaurs. Then, what about building a digital workforce? Digital transformation is very often misunderstood. People think it's about software or AI or systems, but technology, well, Technology is never the real disruption. I'll tell you what is. Human resistance is. The businesses that thrive in the future won't necessarily have the best technology. They will have the people most willing to learn, to unlearn, and to relearn continuously. Because digital literacy is no longer an IT skill. It's become a survival skill. Digital literacy will define competitiveness. That's what you would have been told. Then in 1996, maybe they said to you, well, you should embrace culture change. We often hear, you've heard this, and appropriate for a breakfast meeting. Culture eats strategy for breakfast. How many times have we heard the Gqeberha say? But I think the next evolution really is that future success, future culture will eat past success. What got you here won't necessarily get you there. The businesses that thrive in the future are the ones with the best policies on paper. Nah, never. No, they're the ones that are willing to learn, to adapt, to experiment, and to evolve. Because in times of rapid change, certainty becomes dangerous. Curiosity, well, that becomes strategic. Then they might have said to you, be mobile and be social. Suddenly the internet moved into our pockets, and then social media arrived. And then something profound was going to happen. For the first time in history, customers became broadcasters. Your reputation stopped belonging to you, and it belonged to the market. That's what they said. They would have said to you, the future is in your pocket and in your feed. They would have said to you, be speedy, be adaptable, because when you shift to agile teams and you innovate constantly, well, it's not the ones that have the resources, because they make decisions faster, they learn faster, they adapt faster. And increasingly, speed is becoming a competitive advantage. So in times of change, you know what happens? The fast outpace the big. Now, I want to ask you and just move to part 2 of this morning's conversation. I want to shift the conversation a little bit. The first half of this keynote was really about what did we do in the past 30 years? But the second part, now I want to challenge you. So if you had 30 years of hindsight, what would you do differently? Starting now. You know what they say? Best way to predict the future is to create it. So let's look at the future through the time traveler's lens. What if you were going to future-proof your business for 2020 or 2056? What would you be doing? What capabilities would you need to develop most? Not just the skills, the capabilities. Skills expire, capabilities evolve. Let's look at the first capability, technological fluency. Not because technology replaces humans, but because humans who understand technology will replace humans who don't. AI is not coming, AI is here. And the question is not, will AI change business? The question now is, how quickly will your business adapt? Then, human skills. There's a paradox. As technology rises, human skills become more valuable. Empathy, storytelling, influence, trust. Because in a machine world, human connection becomes premium. Then, what would you look to develop as a capability? Maybe sense making. And this could be one of the most important capabilities of all. Sense making is the ability to connect the dots, to interpret the signals, to understand what's changing before everybody else does. Because the future rarely arrives unannounced. It whispers first, thought patterns, through behaviors, through anomalies. Best leaders aren't fortune tellers. They are pattern recognizers. And then finally, and this also critically important, resilience. Or even better, anti-fragility. The ability not just to adapt to change, but to bounce forward from pressure. Not systems that merely survive pressure, but systems that become stronger because of pressure. The next decade will reward organizations that can absorb shocks, adapt quickly, and bounce forward. So if you had 30 years of hindsight, what would you start doing now? I want to leave you with this thought. The future is not something that happens to us. It's something that we shape through the decisions we make today. And perhaps the greatest advantage that any business can have is not size, it's not technology, not even capital, but the willingness to change early and move before everyone else. But here's the thing, this is the challenge. Not all of us think like Elon Musk, like Jeff Bezos, like Steve Jobs. We're not those thinkers. Most organizations are not naturally wired to challenge themselves relentlessly, to question assumptions continuously, to disrupt their own success before someone else does. Because running a business every day is hard enough. And when you're deep inside that business, it becomes incredibly difficult to step outside and ask, what are we no longer seeing clearly? And that's why I think what every business needs is what I call a chief time traveler. Not necessarily a formal title, but a person or a team whose responsibility it is to think beyond the quarter, beyond the crisis, beyond the comfort of current success. Someone whose job is to ask the difficult questions. What are we underestimating? What could disrupt us? What assumptions are we defending? What would our competitors hope we never noticed? And what future are we preparing for, whether we realize it or not? Because the companies that survive the next 30 years will not be the ones that react faster after disruption happens. They'll be the ones courageous enough to prepare before it arrives. So perhaps the most important appointment you'll make in the years ahead is somebody responsible for helping your business live slightly ahead of its time. I will leave you with this thought. The future does not belong to the comfortable. It belongs to the curious. Enjoy the awards breakfast, and again, congratulations. Thank you, Johan.